Hi friends, Tiffany here. Welcome to my quilting life. Today we are going to work on month 8, the blocks for the 4-Star Generals Revisited, a pattern by the Kindred Spirits Yellow Creek Quilt Designs. We're going to be working on this. That's what it looks like. So if you can find this pattern online, my videos will always be here for you to sew along with. I am doing this as a sew along with my friend T over at T Quilts. This is just a month-to-month thing that I'm doing with her, and I'm making the videos for you guys to follow along separately. So I hope you enjoy. Month 8 might be a little bit confusing. That's only because I confuse you, but you'll see in the video. So let's get to making month 8's block for the 4-Star Generals Revisited quilt pattern. Okay, so for month 8, we're going to make this starburst block that you can see down in the corner. So the B is for background, or black in my case, because I'm using black fabric. Now, we need to make sure we have all of our cuts. So I have my black, which would be light for you. I have both of those cuts. And then I have my main fabric cuts, and then my accent 1 and my accent 2. So we're going to go ahead and start putting this together. So we're going to go ahead now, and we're going to take our background pieces. There's 2 of those, and we're going to take our accent number 2 pieces. There should be 2 of those, and we're going to take these over to the machine. They want you to draw a diagonal line from one corner to the other on both of these pieces so that we can sew on both sides of the line. I'm not going to do that. I have diagonal seam tape, so I'm going to be using that to sew my lines, which you will see. And I'm also going to take the pieces from all 4 stacks, because remember, 4 blocks makes 1. So I'm going to go ahead and grab all of my pieces to make all 4 blocks at the same exact time. Here we are at the machine. Here are all of my pieces. I'm just going to set these aside and run in 2 sets at a time, so that way I can keep all of my pieces together. So I have diagonal seam tape, and what I'm going to do is line up the center. So I'm going to put these right sides together, and instead of a drawn line, I'm going to pretend that drawn line is here by making sure that I line up the center of the block with one side or the other of the 1/4 inch line. So not my red line, but one of my black lines. So I'm going to go ahead and put my foot down and start sewing, and I'm going to put this end on the black line. And it'd be nice if I had the right stitch length. I'll go back and fix that in a minute. Actually, I could probably just leave it. Whatever. So I'm just going to go ahead and run all these through. So now I'm on this other side. So I'm just showing you that you can line it up with either side of the red line. So either one of your 1/4 inch lines. So I'm going to go ahead and put all of these through on one side, and then I'll come back around and do the opposite side of everything. So I'm going to put you in fast forward while I do this. So now the next step is to take these and split them in half. So after they are split in half, it wants you to take them over and press them towards your accent piece. Well, I am going to press the opposite towards my background, because my background is black, and everything I do through this whole entire thing, I'm pressing towards my background. So I'm just going the opposite way of what the pattern says to do. So let's go over to the iron and press these all towards the black. Okay, they're pressed now. Now they're back in their piles that they originally were in. The next step is kind of a little confusing. It wants us to take our main fabric, this one, and it wants us to cut them diagonally like this. So line it up the ruler from corner to corner and split it diagonally, just like this. I'm going to go ahead and do that with all of my pieces. Just going to make sure they're nicely stacked, just like this. And I'm going to go ahead and cut them all diagonally. Just stick them back where they go. So I'm just lining my ruler up from corner to corner and making the cut. So if you think this is going to confuse you, pay attention. We're going to take one piece like this. We're going to keep it right side up. And this, I don't understand why they're doing it, but they want us to lay this one just like this. So technically, all you really need to do, because this, again, makes no sense, is just lay it on there like this and sew that 1/4 inch seam. But what I think would be easier is if they would have had us cut these diagonally, just like this, and then right sides together. So we're going to make sure that it's always with one side because we're discarding the opposite side, which makes no sense, but we're going to do it anyway. I'm going to go ahead and cut all these. I want that half over there. This half will become our thing. I'm just going to go ahead and do that with all of my pieces. So that half will go on that pile. This will get one of these. And one more time. Notice I'm paying attention. So every single one that has my background on one side, those are just being discarded. And the one that has it on the opposite side to create the effect that the block creates are all going the same direction. So all 4 of these are now ready to take to the machine and sew a 1/4 inch seam. So I'm going to go ahead and put you in fast forward while I trim everything. Like I said, they just wanted us to lay this on here like this and then sew it and then trim it, which makes no sense at all. So we're just going to do it the easier way. So we're just going to keep cutting these. I'm going to put you in fast forward while I do that. Now we're going to take all 4 of these piles over to the machine and we're going to sew them. Simple, right? Okay, so we're here at the machine. I have all of them the same sides. So I'm going to go ahead and put them right sides together, just like this. And my point for one is going to land up with the other. So sometimes they're going to be a little wonky. That's okay. We're going to sew a 1/4 inch seam. And we're going to make a 3/4 square triangle, 1/4 square half triangle, or I don't know. It has many names. So I'm going to go ahead and put you in fast forward while I sew all these together now. Okay, they're all sewn. Now it's time to trim them. They're a little bit oversized than what they need to be. And I'm going to trim before I press because for me, I find that easier. So I'm just going to move all those out of the way. Don't need those right now. I'm going to take this piece right here. I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to line it up on the measurement that the directions say. So I'm going to put, probably works easier this way. See, there's a seam line right here. We're going to take and align that seam line with the line of my ruler. There you go. You can see it. We're going to line it up with this on my ruler, and then I'm going to line up the marks of the measurement that I am going to cut these with this seam line down here. So I'm going to make sure that everything is where it needs to be, just like that, everything's nice and straight. And I'm going to go ahead and make my cuts. And what we should have is a piece that looks like this. And then these will get pressed towards, I'm just going to finger press it for now, just so it's a little bit flat. They'll get pressed towards the accent color, or is that the main fabric color? Yeah, that's the main fabric color. So we're going to press towards that. So I'm going to trim all of these to be that size, but you're in my way. So I'm going to move you and then put you in fast forward. All right, so here are our pieces. At this point, you can cut off your dog ears, which I should have been doing the whole entire time, but I didn't this time because, well, I got lazy. Actually, that's not lazy. It's just forgetful, I guess. So I'm just going to go ahead and trim all these off, and I'll spare you that. So I always admit every time I make a boo-boo, and I'm pretty sure from this step forward, I have made a boo-boo. Because the next step they want, let's move these where you can even see them. They want us to take our background, more light fabric, I'm using black fabric pieces, these ones right here, which would have been the first cut that you made 4 of. They want us to take these and put them on. We're just going to grab this stack for now. This is going to be confusing to you guys. This was my main fabric color. They want it to go on the side of the main fabric color. But on the diagram, that is wrong. And here is why. The background is supposed to be up here, which it is. But this piece right here, which is accent number 2, is supposed to be on that side. But if I turn this, then it's backwards. So it's the wrong direction. What should have happened was I should have been paying attention, and this is where you should too. The opposite side cut, this one right here, is the side we would have needed. So it would have sat like this with your main fabric right here, and then this goes on that side like it's supposed to. But that is okay, because I'm just going to do mine backwards. At this point, these will now go on this side, and I will just assemble it backwards. I mean, who says I can't assemble it backwards? So that's what I'm going to do, is backwards. So from here on out, it might confuse you because everything is backwards. Just know, if you were to have laid your half square triangle with the black on, I guess that would be fully on this side. How about this? We'll just explain it like this. You are my view. The side that has your accent down at the bottom right and your background or your light color is sitting at the top, then that is how you know it's correct. The opposite direction is my mistake because I wasn't paying attention, but I was paying attention. Anyway, like I said, my mistake, which will just be an opposite facing block for me. So I'm going to go ahead, if you were the other way and this was your background and this piece was on this side and this piece was on this side, you would be connecting it there. But it goes on the side your little piece goes on the side that your accent number 2 is on. So I'm going to be attaching all these little pieces to the side that my orange fabric is on. So they're all just going to go on this side right here. And then my block will face a different direction. And you're not even in the camera. Wow, I'm just having one of those days. So let's take all of these units and go over to the sewing machine. And I'm just going to attach all of my pieces, now that I know that I'm backwards, to the orange side of my fabrics. That way it's together and I will just be facing the wrong way. Just know that you guys are facing me. You are facing what I'm doing, the same angle as I am facing it. So just remember this opposite side, not the side that I used. Unless you want an opposite facing block, which I guess there's no big deal on that. So just remember those sides. If you cut it in half, you want your background fabric or your light fabric facing the left, and you want your accent on the right. Just know that's how it works. And then when we go to sew these on, it goes on the side with your accent. So it would be the opposite direction, obviously, for you. All right, so here we are at the machine. Again, I didn't want to confuse you, but sometimes it just happens. So I'm going to go ahead and sew 1/4 inch seam. Again, I'm sewing it to the side with my accent number 2. So for me, that's my orange fabric, or the smaller side. You're not sewing it to the bigger triangle side, to a smaller triangle side, but not your background color or your light fabric. That was weird. I'm wearing black clothes and my little piece went flying towards me and landed on my black shirt, and I was like, where did it go? So I'm going to go ahead and sew all these on here. I'm going to put you in fast forward while I do so, and this does not right now even end the confusion that I'm going to put you through in about 3 to 5 minutes when these are all sewn on, because the next step is a step that a lot of you have never even done before. So I'm going to go ahead, turn that music back on, fast forward, and I'm hoping I won't confuse you with the next step. All right, so there's my 4 piles. I'm doing the light ones with these dark ones, and no, maybe it was this one with this one and that one with that one. I don't even remember. Whatever. It does not matter. Anyway, what we're going to do now is something that you probably haven't even seen me do on my channel yet, I don't think. I'm really thinking about this. I don't think I've ever done it. The next step is to make the block. And you're like, how are you going to make the block with the pieces that you have? Well, I'm going to tell you right now, you're not going to like it. So, oh, I cracked myself up. All right. So, okay, since mine are going to be backwards, this is going to be a little bit weirder. So here's this piece right here. And we're going to have my background facing out. And I am going to figure this out because I'm backwards. Holy moly. So this is going to go here like that, that. And this one is going to go like that because I'm backwards. You're like, how are you going to put that together? Yeah, exactly. No, I'm just kidding. So we're going to be doing some partial seams. A partial seam is where you start with a half a seam, and then when you get to the end, you finish with a full seam. So what we're going to do is we're going to be attaching this on here. I think it's this one first. Hold on. I got to think about this real quick because I went backwards. So I'm going to take this center piece and I'm going to stick it right here like that. And I am going to sew halfway down. That's all I'm going to do. I'm going to start at the end and come halfway down. When I open it, and since I'm going backwards, you guys would be going this way. I'm actually going the clockwise. You will be going counterclockwise. Just remember that, because remember I made an oops, but the partial seam still goes together the same exact way. It's still a partial seam. So no matter how I show you, if I'm backwards and you're not, just know that it's assembled the same exact method every time. So again, the center is going to go to this, and I'm going to sew from the top to about halfway. So let me make that seam real quick. All right. So as you can see, and I'm using black thread through my project anyway, I came halfway down. What? Why would you do that? No, this is why. So I'm going to go ahead and press this away, so to that side, just like that for now. And we're going to take this next piece. You would be on the opposite side, obviously, and I'm going to put it right sides together. And you can see now that these two sides are the same exact size. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch from here to here, and then I'll meet you right back here. So now there's a piece that looks like this. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and finger press this back. Back, nicely. I'm trying not to pull because remember, I do have an opening here. So that is pressed back. Now I'm going to take this piece and put it right sides together on here. And as you can see, again, this side and that side are the same exact at the ends. So now I'm going to go ahead and sew that seam real quickly, and I'll meet you right back. All right, that seam is sewn. So now we're going to push it back like this. Okay. So now here's the part that you're wondering. You can fold this bottom one out of the way and see that this side is the size it needs to be. So keeping that out of the way, just like this, because we don't want to sew it, we're going to take this piece and put it on this piece. And even though I finger press that, I'm just going to try to pull it out of the way. We're going to line these up just like this, so you can see, and we're going to sew down this side. And I'll meet you right back. Here's that funky piece. Going to pull that back out of the way, and you can see that my block is almost complete. You can see the only seam left to do, so I'm going to finger press this back real quick towards my piece. The only seam left is to put this right sides together with here, just like this. Just going to try to get it flat right there. And I'm going to start up here and put my needle down because I got a little bit of a fold here. You can see that. I'm going to start with my needle down right here where I ended and sew off the end. And don't worry, I'm going to show you at the machine how it's sewn. But right now I just wanted to walk you through it real quickly this way. So I'm going to go ahead and put my needle down here and sew off the end, and I'll meet you right back here. And then you can see I just put my needle down. I did a little tiny back stitch right there and then came down this side. When you open it up, there is your block. I'm just going to go ahead and finger press it. I'm going to take it over to the iron and press it. There's my nice flat block. So you can see how the seams go nicely. Obviously, I don't cut away all my little extra stitches back there. So if you were using a light fabric, just make sure you're using a light thread. So there's one. Now let's do the second one over at the machine so that you can see how it's stitched together while sitting at the machine. Here we are at the machine. Yeah, you should be able to see the whole entire thing. Let me adjust it slightly right here in front of your very eyes. I know I'm weird. All right, so there's my center. Again, oops, go this way, right there. I was almost confused. Right there, that's where it goes. Right there, that's where it goes. Takes a second for me to get used to it, but just know that your accent one touches your main fabric. This one will go here, and that one will go there. Mine are facing the opposite direction, so just remember your cycle will be the opposite way, which is counterclockwise. I'm going clockwise. So I'm going to just slide this over. I'm going to take these two pieces. Now I'm going to sew that partial start seam. I'm just going to come in, and I'm going to stop right here. And I backstitch because I will be pulling on it a little, so I definitely don't want that to happen. So right now I'm just going to push it out of the way, just like this, with my finger, just a small smooch. I'm going to grab that next piece right here, and we're going to attach it. Again, it's the same exact size. I'm just going to line it up right here, and then slide it through. All the way to the end. I definitely want you to understand partial seams. Okay, so there's that. If I put it back here, you can see it fits like a puzzle. Now we're going to take this side, because that's the next side that fits properly. Right sides together. We're going to sew it all the way down. I'm going to finger press that back. None of it's being pressed at the iron at this point. And now this last piece is the same side. And remember, just fold that bottom one out of the way, grab this, and all I'm going to do is I barely finger press this end, but it wants to fold over anyway on its own. So just line it up. Make sure that it's not folded under this little piece right here, this flap. You definitely don't want it to be folded under, but you do want to make sure that it's flat. It takes a little bit of finger maneuvering. Come on, lay where I want you to. Just hold it or pin it, whatever your method is. I'm going to go ahead and finger press that one back. And now this one and this one just need to be combined. But instead of coming in from the end, I'm actually going to start right here where I ended my original partial seam. So I'm just going to put my needle down, just going to flatten that out. I'm going to put this under here, as you can see, and I'm going to put my needle down in where I ended, right there. Then drop my foot, line up the end, and sew right on off. And then all I have to do is finger press it away from me, just like that. So now I just need to repeat that 2 more times. So I'm just going to toss that out of the way, bring up the next one, and I'm going to sew these ones and fast forward. That next and final step is to put the blocks where you want them. That and like that. Yeah, because if I put it, yeah, doesn't matter. I just want opposites like this. So now it's time for our sashing within the block. And we're going to take and put a piece of sashing here and 2 pieces there to the size we need it to be. And there we have it, the finished block. I like it. And as you can see, these 2 come straight down and meet up with these 2. And there's my finished block. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I guess my leftovers here can just make quarter square triangles. So there's that. Other than that, I'm done. So I will see you guys next month for block 9. Bye. Four-star Generals Revisited, Kindred Spirits Yellow Creek Quilt Designs. You know, I've been saying this for 8 months, and I still, for the life of me, always get that messed up. Not that hard. No, this is retarded. Stop this. It needs to be stopped. This video series will be here to help you. I'm not pretty sure. I'm 100% sure. We're going to be doing this, and it's month 8. But I figure, you know, these